Sir, we're live.
Hello.
How we doing?
Doing good.
Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovely and beautiful listeners out there.
Yes.
This week is a great week. We're off to a great second month of the year. I'm juiced and jazzed for life. How about you?
Juiced and jazzed galore.
Wow. What makes you get up in the morning, Dylan? What makes you invigorated?
Social responsibility
In terms of what?
to succeed,
So,
to live.
the only thing motivating you in life is that so people don't think of you as a bum.
Yeah.
That's really sad. What inspires you?
Inspires. Honestly, I do get inspired by seeing people grow and develop. And like teaching them something. I'd say that inspires me. It's something I'm passionate about, and I'd say it inspires me. I chase after that.
You know, if based on what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that came to mind is, to me, that's what love is. And I never knew it until I got a dog. And I'm sure I'll feel it even way more when I have kids.
Yeah.
But when I got my dog, you bring it home the first day and it's cute and it's fun. But at the end of the day, it's like, you don't know what this dog, it's a puppy, it's peeing in your house, it's doing all this stuff. And the love isn't there. It's cute and you like it, and it's like, it's there and you think you love it. It's like, oh, it's so adorable. But it's not what I came to learn what actual love is. And I think it's the same thing in any kind of relationship too. But what happens is you basically, as you teach it to live in this balance between, okay, you're going to live here, I want it to be a harmony, right?
Yeah.
Don't pee in my house, go outside. Like, here's your food and water, drink from this. Here's the commands to keep you safe, sit and stay and things like that. Oh, don't chew out of the garbage can. Like, you teach them all these things, right? Don't dig holes, yada, yada, yada. You see that development over time, and you put that focused energy into it. That, to me, is when love is developed. It's like when you see that growth, and you see like, oh my God, they are doing that instinctually. I instilled that into them. You almost like see that reflection of yourself, all that effort, and then you're like, oh, there's growth there. Like, wow. And then it's like, that's where love is fostered.
Yeah, I think you described that perfectly. Because, I think that even applies to, like, a part of romantic love, too, is like, I don't know, at least for me, it's always the moment where it clicked was like when it was my partner doing something that like meant a lot to me, but I didn't have to ask them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
It's like growth in a relationship, right? If you stay the same in a relationship from year one from year 0 to year 1, then you're a terrible partner, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's that growth of togetherness, that you learn to balance each other off of, and then, that's what develops love. I think to me, that's what love is.
Yeah.
Kyle, we're getting deep right here off the rip.
Apparently.
Yeah.
What inspires you?
No, you got to ask me the other one first.
What was the other one?
What wakes you up in the morning?
What wakes you up in the morning? What gets you motivated? So his answer was social pressure. So basically, he doesn't want to be seen as a
huge
bum.
part of it. It's gonna sound corny and cheesy, but at this point in my life, my daughter,
It's beautiful.
Makes sense.
so
It's not cheesy at all.
No.
but 100%, yeah.
What inspires you, though?
What inspires me?
Mm-hmm. And it could be the same answer.
Yeah, it's hard to think past that right now. I'm at this stage in my life where I'm just everything I'm doing is for my family. And so right now my family inspires me the most. Yeah.
What about like with work? What inspires you with work? I know.
My paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is base. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Victory says your wife kicking you. Yeah. That'll get.
That
you
is
out of
what
bed.
wakes me up in the morning.
That'll
Yeah.
get you out of bed real quick. At work, what inspires you at work? So, what makes you at work? Obviously, there's rules and stuff you have to be in balance, and of course, we're all there for the check. Of course, with all those put to the side, what makes you go and execute to be you? Like, do you feel like you're playing a character at work, and you're just trying to optimize for that character of like what you think
If
you
there's
should
one
be?
thing I've been at work, it's always been genuinely me. Like I've never been a fake version of myself really at work. There are some times where I feel like I am putting on a little bit of a show or a performance to like keep morale up and things
Sure.
like that. But I wouldn't say that I'm not authentically me, at least as best as I can be at work. But as far as what inspires me at work, if I'm getting real about that question, I think if I see other people succeed as a result of anything I may have done with them, I think that's when I feel the best at work.
I love that.
I did
Yeah.
like that love test or whatever. Like,
What's your love language?
yeah, that's what it is. And apparently, words of affirmation is my number one.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess also I do like when people recognize some of the efforts I put in.
Yeah.
But I'm also weird in the sense that I don't want to be publicly recognized. I'd much rather they come up to me and be
That's
like,
why I
"Hey,
wouldn't have
nice
guessed
job."
that. I would have thought like quality time would have been your number one.
No, apparently words of affirmation is. Yeah. But I would hate if I was in like a meeting or something and they were
Just
like,
stand up, Kyle.
"Stand up, Kyle!" Everyone cheer. What a guy!
Everybody clap around.
Yeah, you know?
Speech. Yeah.
But if like my boss comes up to me, like knocks on my door and something, and comes in and be like, "Hey, nice job," and then moves on. That's all I really need. You know, I don't need much.
Some validation.
So we'll go to Dylan. We'll go to your answer on that question. But Kyle, I want you to chew on this. What do you think distinguishes you? You're Harlan Williams on Joe Rogan. You ever see that episode?
Yeah.
He says he had like something in his throat or something, or a rabbit in his throat or something. He had to feed it celery, and he's just chewing celery into a mic. Yeah, ridiculous. What is your superpower at work? Like, what
My
separates?
superpower at
That'll be
work.
the next question once Dylan's answering. But what makes you just like at a baseline? What are you superior at that like everyone else?
I'm
seemingly
extraordinarily
struggles with? Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
makes me so great. No, still
Go
think
ahead.
about it for a
No.
second. Yeah, Dylan, what motivates you, or what inspires you?
It was the one I already answered of developing. Like it's this that's developing others. That is my bread and butter at work. Like that's what I get passionate about. That's what inspires me to do what I do. Is the ability to teach and show new employees, sometimes customers if they're nice. But yeah.
How it's done.
Yeah, I like it when they're a willing learner too. I think that's pretty much any teacher, but like when they're willing to learn or they show that they have a desire to learn and you can tell they're trying. Ooh, gets me. They don't even have to be. I mean, eventually I'll probably get irritated if they keep failing, but they don't have to be perfect. It's just that they're trying, and I can see that they are putting their full heart into it.
Have you ever thought about being? You always talk about this. Have you ever thought about being like a teacher? And is it only like you only like to do it to professionals that want to be
Yes.
there, and you don't want to deal with kids?
No, yeah.
Probably.
Well, like
I
I
never want
want
to deal with people that I feel like they have to be somewhere. Like, I guess at work,
At work,
yes,
that's-
you
yeah.
do, but like, at least
Today
they're a
we're
little
going to
more
talk
willing.
about
Yeah.
corporate well-being.
Well, it's like I didn't like school. Like personally, I didn't walk away going, "Fuck yeah, I want to go right back." No, I was like, "Fuck that." Yeah. So I think that's my aversion of that type of teaching. But then when I at a previous job, I got to see an employee trainer, and I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "This looks like something I like." And then so I mean that's still an end goal, but I even like just like coaching and developing as a manager. Like it doesn't have to. That would be the end goal is the direct classroom or like the virtual classroom, whatever. But even as a manager, that's what fulfills me.
So it gets you off.
Yeah, that's when I finish.
Well, what about you?
Yeah, you didn't answer both questions. What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Um, what
My
gets
alarm
me,
clock.
what gets me out of bed in the morning? I wake up. So I don't drink coffee or anything. So it's actually really easy for me to wake up and get motivated and get out of bed. So there's not like
What motivates you?
Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna wrap this in there. What inspires me? What motivates me? I feel like that's all along the same sort of vein, right? For me, I always joke that, and I say this, and it's so cringe. So please let me have it. But you ever heard Simon Sinek's talk of like givers and takers in organizations? Do you know who that is? Like find your why.
I've heard that phrase.
I think you've talked about this actually with me before.
Oh, on the pod?
I'm not on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I feel like
heard
we've
it.
had a discussion about this.
Well, Simon Sinek is this guy like know your why. That was his big thing, probably 10 years ago now. And he was like, I probably credit him with the skyrocketing of like TED Talks, because he had a few on there that just went to the moon in terms of viewership, and
Right.
they got popular. Is TED Talks even a thing anymore?
Yeah.
It should. I mean, I saw.
I
one,
know they still do like
last year.
local ones, but I feel like I never. Oh, I just watched a TED Talk. They're all podcasts now. You know.
That's right.
Anyway,
Just like us.
it's yeah.
We should submit to see if we can be on a TED Talk. We don't do anything but this. We don't even acknowledge.
So I make the joke. I say this not all the time, but I say this generally in interviews or something. Someone when I'm trying to explain my value add, right? Is I'm such a giver in organizations that it's in my last name.
Saul's giver.
That's right. So
What a guy.
Now, Kyle, have you ever heard a more extrovert
oh God,
answer?
stop.
I give.
This
No.
guy is an extrovert.
And the reason, like, I love supporting people and processes, and I like doing very creative things. And really,
Extroversion.
What makes me motivated is solving creative problems.
Okay.
I'm not very good at. I'm good at this, but I don't like doing this. Taking an A, adding B, and creating C. That to me is manufacturing. And there's no creative inspiration to be had there, at least is from my perspective, especially from, I do software stuff. So on the software side, there's nothing interesting about that. Do this, add this piece, and here's your output. Anything with a known output is not as interesting to me. So what motivates me is working with people, understanding their day-to-day processes, and then supporting that in the best way that I can to make their lives more efficient. Like that's effectively what I do day to day, and it's one of my favorite things, and I love it because I can have like through software I can make a simple improvement or build a new feature or deploy a whole new feature set that has a radical impact on somebody's life, or a new approval chain, or whatever it might be, that has a radical impact on their day-to-day life. And if I can free up, even 5 hours a month, let's say, in terms of overhead and just their day-to-day tasks, right? Maybe it only takes them 15 minutes a day or whatever. That adds up over time. Then I see it as like a huge win from my perspective, because then I can go and free them up to be better at their job, go and succeed in a bigger way, build that relationship with them so that we can solve even bigger problems, let them scale and grow with the company, or have the company grow and scale, which everybody succeeds in that perspective. I love solving those kinds of creative problems that really benefit people and actually create like serious value. That's what motivates the hell out of me. I like doing that. Where you get to work and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing today.
But so solving problems is your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. That makes sense.
What do they call that in strength finders? You're restorative. There's
Strength
like
finders.
Strength
Yeah.
finders is like a business acumen test thing. That you
Like
take.
your
Oh.
5 strengths.
And like I think the problem solving at its core, they call that restorative. It's someone that can.
So I took that once. Have you guys taken those?
Yeah. They say they change all the time,
Oh,
so
do
you
they?
should do it like every 3 years.
I did it right out of college. My number one was learner.
Well, because you're right out of college.
I know.
I mean, that seems like that. I bet you if you did it now, it'd be different.
I bet you.
It'd be something else.
So the next question then, what do you think is your superpower at work? Like what innate ability do you have that separates you from the rest of the pack? That's just like you're naturally good at. Like some people are just naturally good at talking to people. And those people just are perfect for sales type roles or any kind of communication based roles. And some people really have to strive to make that good. I can go, I guess. Do you have yours yet?
Go for it. Yeah.
So I think what my superpower, if you want to call it, is I don't even know how to frame this. There's like I have so many thoughts right now.
In Greece, he spent a year.
This is gonna sound so
silence.
corporate-y, cringy, but like creating value. And I'll give you the example of a lot of times in software development, you get like a lot of people on my team. They're business analysts, right?
Yeah.
And their role should be to think critically, right? That's part of the analyst part of your role. But what often it turns into is when you give them a task, they will go to the letter of that law and execute on that task. And I try to train my team explicitly to not do this. I had a situation come up this week that was fucking hilarious. Basically, we were going to tear down this full, let's call it, I'll be very vague. We were going to tear down a feature, okay? It wasn't going to exist anymore. We were retiring it. And effectively, this one person in particular, who was the primary person to deal with this, to own this feature, was had asked for it. Let's just be even some more vague because I don't want to get into specifics. Basically asked for a new coat of paint on this feature that we were tearing down in less than a week. And the business analyst assigned to this task was just going forward and not thinking about it. So like the example I would give is this house is condemned. Think of the house that we saw when we looked up, right? There's a hole in the roof. The floors are rotted out. There's holes in the wall, and the basement's flooded. And the homeowner wants to paint the house. You could, as a business analyst, go and do exactly that. You check your box. You move on with your life. Thumbs up. I did my thing.
Yeah,
What I'm really good at,
things
yeah,
to take care of first.
what I'm really good at is taking that step back and being like, this is a fucking horrendous idea. Let's not do that. And here's why. And kind of coming at it from a much more strategic perspective. And that's what I'm good at. And so many people can get caught up in, because everything in their job is aligned to take in task, do task, move on.
Outside of the box thinker.
Effectively. And that is, to me, it's like, it's hilarious how bad people are at this. It's hilarious how bad people. I work with really smart people, but they are so bad. It's like, they asked for that. Did you think about this? Oh, wow, that's a great idea. And it's like, just remove yourself from just doing that task. You're an analyst. You're not take A and B and put C. Think about what it is you're trying to solve for. And I spend so much time trying to repeating that very fact to very smart people, but they struggle with that because everything through their lens is so task oriented, right? Like, I need to do this thing. And I'm like the exact opposite. It's like, am I creating value? What am I doing? Like, is this helping anybody, or am I just doing what you asked? So anyway, that's my superpower, is just sort of not necessarily slowing everything down, but taking a step back and not having an ego.
You should hire us.
Yeah, exactly.
But to me that sounded like outside the box thinking. Like that's, and I mean, we talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but remember when I was saying that I came to the realization of like what separates me. I hate talking about it because it's like ego.
I'm built different.
Yeah, I'm built different. Like my ability to adjust to policies and procedures is so on another level than these other people who have necessarily the same experience, and it blew my mind because I was like, what?
Isn't it weird that they get like an ego about it? Well, that's not how it used to be, right?
Yeah.
And they get like, there's this friction that occurs anytime those things are changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
It's
yeah.
an interesting way that you frame that with like the ego piece, right? It's like, that's what I learned.
Well, and
it's
it's
not
my-
that anyway.
I would say that part was my ego of like saying that, oh, I'm so much better than them. I don't.
No, I don't think. I
Yeah.
think it
built
takes
different.
less ego to just say, "What is it? What is
Yeah.
it this month?" And that's what it is. It's so interesting that people. I see this all the time when you try to address processes that are older than any person that's been at the company, and you're talking to them, and everybody's miserable, but nobody wants to change because it's the pain they know.
Yeah.
And I have to sit down grown adults with way bigger titles than what I have. And I have to say, shut up and play nice. It's like I seriously have had to have these conversations of like, raise your hand if you're happy. I've literally conducted this meeting. Nobody's happy. Okay, can we burn these bridges then? Can we fucking move on? And it's like, finally, people start to wake up to like, oh, you know what? It does suck. And why am I defending this? Like,
Yeah.
let's make something better. And you just have to expose that. And there's just so many great analysts that are really good at their job. They'll never have the balls to take that step because they'll never think outside the box, I guess. They'll never take that step back and go, oh, there's a better way of doing this.
No.
So
You got yours, Kyle?
Did you say yours? Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that I'm really bad at, if I'm being honest, at work.
that's the humility.
So
So this is going to turn into me shitting on myself.
no, I'm not gonna go there.
Do you want
The
me?
one thing that I think that I'm okay at, and even then, it's been a journey to get there. But I feel like I'm pretty good at creating a positive environment for my employees.
I love that.
Yeah.
I generally speaking, I feel like people don't hate their lives when they work, like when they're in my team. I am constantly thinking of like ways that I can like make their lives more enjoyable, happy, easier. And I've seen those things reflected in like employee opinion surveys and things like that. So that's the one area that I think I'm okay at for sure. But superpower, I don't know if I could if it's really on that level yet. I would say that maybe I'm still trying to figure out what that is.
I would actually say that that's a rare skill. I find far too often people who don't have leadership qualities get promoted because they're great individual contributors, but make absolute shit managers. And so being able to create a positive environment, especially in the role that you're in, I think that like you're mainly a facilitator, right? Like you obviously have all the responsibility of what you need to do, but you're really there to facilitate the operations of what's going on. And so I think a big part of that is setting the culture.
No,
Whether that's success in your processes or just having a good time at work.
I'm competitive.
Yeah.
I have a temper. There's a lot of things I could say that I had to learn because I was using them negatively and I had to figure out how to use it positively at work.
Well, then maybe that's your superpower is not having an ego about your own actions. So where you are
Maybe.
willing to work on that, which is a great sign of leadership. And you identify those weaknesses and you actively work on them.
When I was an individual contributor, when I was in that position, I used to get pissed off if I wasn't the absolute best at everything. Like if I wasn't outperforming second place by double digits.
Oh, Jesus.
I was
Yeah.
I was like, why'd they even hire me? Like that. I'm just so intense on myself.
Well, so as somebody that worked with Kyle for a couple of years, I would say his superpower is caring, in my opinion.
Aw.
Yeah. I mean, I do think so. I think that's out of all the people I worked with, that if I had to call out one trait you had that seemed like a
Caring
superpower,
about people or what he's doing?
the team,
The team. Okay,
the team,
people.
which ties into creating positive
I've
environment.
always cared
Yeah.
more about people than I ever have any job.
Yeah.
I
beautiful.
think that's a huge
I mean,
part.
like he, as a banker, I don't know. We've already.
So are you trying to play into his love language right now?
No,
Where
no.
you're like,
Yeah,
words-
what's
No,
happening?
I was
So
just
he
saying
gives you
that,
words of no, he gave you words of affirmation and then he immediately shuts it off. Like, no.
No.
Please,
Yeah,
don't.
please stop, but continue because that's my love language.
Please stop. But I love it.
But I would say
sorry,
like
go
he would make sure, a lot of times you see bankers who just they do their stuff and they clock out, or they don't care. He was always very involved in the whole team, making sure both everybody was taken care of. And I think that, to me, that would be his superpower. I think he's being humble about it. But it is also really hard to recognize your own superpowers, because a lot of times you look at yourself.
I would trust what somebody else says about me much more than I would
Exactly.
trust what I say about myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
And like for me,
But I feel like it's we've all worked long enough to where I think it's pretty self-evident in terms of like, oh, I'm actually really good at this
Yeah.
compared to
well, so this mine
they
what
struggle with this and I have no issue with that, right?
what I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
say,
At least for me it is.
it's to a flaw, like it's a superpower to a flaw. Used to be, and I've tried to fix that, but I can handle. At least I've always thought I can handle pressure really well. I don't
I'd agree with
freak
that.
out and I don't
Yeah.
stress out. To like I said, to a flaw, I had a complaint from an employee once that it seemed like I didn't care that stuff wasn't getting done. It's like, no, I do. I just
I'm
it
not
doesn't
rattled.
Yeah, it doesn't help me to be like, oh fuck, shit," you know.
Oh God!
Yeah, and so yes, it can come off as me just being like, well,
Nonchalance.
I guess we're screwed, you know. Like, but yeah, I would say that would be mine.
Yeah,
You were a born sniper.
you definitely are way better at that because I've seen you both like in an individual contributor role as well as like a manager role. I've seen you operate as both. Regardless of what you're doing, you've always had that for sure. I don't have that. Like when things are going wrong, it takes everything in me not to just be pissed at the world and like get mad at people. And I know that's contradictory to what I said I'm good at is keeping a positive environment.
But now that you manage
what I can
that,
tell you is
you don't let it get there.
I didn't. That took years to learn. Like when I was a banker, and then before that, when I was in other positions, I literally people called me loose cannon Kyle because they never
Yeah.
knew what was gonna set me off. And then you can't do that as you
Yeah.
get promoted. I was actually one of those people that got promoted because of the fact that I was
Just high performing.
high performing, not necessarily like leadership skills, I would argue. And then so when I first was in that leadership role, it took me a while I would say it took me like a good solid year before I finally was like, okay, this is how I want to manage going forward. And even then, I'm still learning stuff all the time.
But I think the fact that you even frame it that way is that part of your success. Because I know people who think that they're the fucking greatest thing since sliced bread, and they've got nothing to learn. And all they do want to do is pontificate to all their plebs of how great they fucking are.
I hate
Oh,
people like that.
I've been humbled quite a few times.
Yeah, it's interesting. For me, I'm the exact same way as Kyle. Like, I get I lose my cool when I'm wasting my time, and everybody is in agreement, but nobody's saying it out loud that we're doing this to waste our time. So I used to be a part of a very bureaucratic group at my last company, and basically there was this project that had been kicked off, and originally it was well intended. It was really good intentions, and it could have been something interesting, but it turned into this quickly like, hey, let's finish this so we can just wrap a bow on this and shelve it. And so this thing took like, from the moment that decision was made to shelve it was over 2 months. And so for 2 months, effectively, I was intentionally wasting my time.
Yeah.
And that bothered the hell out of me. And I would constantly tell my management team, you know how much you pay me, right? You are burning that money and throwing it away. Like, there is no purpose whatsoever to what we are doing. I want you to know that, right? You are saying this is getting shelved. We are wrapping a bow on it. We're doing all the bureaucracy project shit because it was a project management team. And we're just checking boxes. We're not doing it. We're not creating any value. And I was so vocal about it, and it bothered the hell out of me. And thank God I transferred off that team, and then they ended up wiping that team off the face of earth. So thank God I left. But I was extremely vocal because I do not like wasting my time or anybody else's time. I have to be creating value.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the loudest guy in there saying
You're like
like,
that in
"Hey,
everything
fire
you do,
me,
though.
please,
Yeah.
fire me," because I'm not doing anything. You're wasting your money.
That's how you game. You're like if I am not
is!
being productive in
It
this
is!
game, yeah,
I never even thought about that.
like I'm not gaming to waste my time. Like if you're not progressing and moving, and
He's like
creating
that
a
I
in
never
life
even thought about that.
That's how you game
In life too.
in life.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times he's given me advice about friendships where my personal thought was, it's not my place. I'm just gonna kind of just ride it
Then
out.
why are you there?
Yeah. If you're not adding value, if you're not evolving,
What is the give and take in this relationship, Dylan?
What was I tortured as a child? What happened, guys? Wow. It's like a core
I mean, but that's what
fucking
makes you
belief.
so cool. That's what makes you special.
Holy shit, you're right. It's like it bleeds into every part of my life, personal. Wow. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, but you found
Even
a
how
way
I
to-
game, like the place of Zen where you're supposed to chill out, I'm still fucking crack addict. What the hell, dude?
You found a way to harness that for good. So you know what?
Am I
It
making
works.
value? No.
That's hilarious, actually.
Obviously, it shows every company you've ever worked for has valued you tremendously. So
It's
nothing
worked
wrong
out
with
thus
it.
far. Yeah, it's worked out this far.
It's gonna be someone down the line that was like, sometimes you don't have to do shit.
Sometimes you can just chill the fuck out, and then I'll quit because it's like I have to be doing something.
Well, then I don't want to be a part of this team. You're a disgrace.
You're a disgrace.
Humanity.
You're wasting your time. They're gonna put that on your headstone.
Sometimes
I
you can
chilled
chill
out.
I chill out when I die.
That's so funny. That is so funny. I don't even know why I started these.
Yeah, what are we?
I don't even know why I got on.
We're
this.
dangerously close to turning into like a finance bro
We're-
podcast.
Or are you
Invest
Or
in
a
money.
Sigma.
Long term.
Or a Sigma male podcast.
We were talking about business. We were talking about
I think I just- it was a
corporate
throwaway.
culture. Were you going to go to Severance?
Oh, we should,
We should.
and we shall.
All right.
So you
Shall
watched
not.
the latest episode.
Yes. Did you?
Okay, first off, let's set up the people. Go ahead. This is your show.
Go for it.
This is your show. You introduced me to it. So
Severance, Apple TV. Amazing show, in my opinion. I love the heck out of it. Season 1 is complete. Season 2 is coming out right now. We're 4 episodes in. It's a weekly release show. But I really enjoyed the show. And I would have to say, I'll preface it, it's a show where there's a lot of mystery. So all of this hype and all of my love for it, it could all go sour if it doesn't stick the landing as far as like the reveal or the respect for the audience. And which, I mean, we'll get into it later, but I feel like something they've done really good so far in this show for being a show mainly about mysteries is respecting the audience and kind of, you can see where in other shows they might take a plot point and stretch it out because they can. This one, no, they'll reveal it or they'll just do it. Like they don't sit there and make you like teeter on the edge of, oh, what is he gonna do this or is he not? No, he makes his decision and then you see it and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I think one of the worst examples of that is Stranger Things, where and I think it's made worse because of the years between the seasons.
Yes.
Because it's just like, how many questions can you continue to propose to me without answering a single one of them, and then I gotta wait 3
Yeah.
years, like, and then you forget. You go and you watch the new season, you're like, okay, I guess this is how things are now. There's just fucking portals around and demons, like. And maybe it does it. Maybe we just got to get over that. Like, maybe not everything has to be answered. But when you go back and watch season 1 of Stranger Things, like, that was a weird world that you were really intrigued by. And now what they're doing is just like, oh, we're playing with those ideas that already exist. And it's like, how did that happen? I mean, anyway, so that's Stranger Things. Severance, I think, is really refreshing in that respect. So I kept getting berated by Dylan to watch this show. Have you watched it? Have you watched it? Have you watched it? Watch it. And he let the crack addict out of his box. And I fucking binged
all of it in one
from
day.
fucking, yeah. I was up till 3 or 4 in the morning and I watched it all and got caught up. And I was kind of sending messages at the end of episodes, stuff like that, telling me where I was and what my thoughts were on it. And I still have not been proven right on any particular one. But Dylan's right. Like, it has introduced enough mystery, but then also season 1 particular had amazing pacing with it, where it felt like for every mystery that was getting brought up, something was getting answered. And I liked that. What I felt like was there was no storyline waste, like no time filler.
Yeah.
Everything played into it. There was no side love story that was like, oh my God, get to the just bang her already. You know, like there was none of that. Everything played a role. And also all the side characters, I see this all the time. They always have a couple just dumb idiot characters that just perpetually make bad decisions, and you're like, why are they here? They're just comedy relief, whatever. Everybody actually plays a role in this, and they have their own journey and story. And there's a bunch of crazy cool fan fiction out there, but the pacing of season 1 did an amazing job. Season 2 for me, yes. We'll get into that.
Romantic.
Rule 34 shit. If you don't.
That's what Billy likes browsing.
That's the reason
That's
I
my
watched
free
this.
time. Exactly. But season 2 is, in a big way, unfortunately, fallen off for me in terms of pacing. But story, I'm already hooked.
Yeah.
So I'm in the world. I love it. But with, like Dylan said, if they do 2 or 3 more seasons where it's not going anywhere, oh boy, not interested. Because what they have set up reminds me a little bit of Foundation, which is also on Apple TV, funnily enough. But in terms of how there's this weird, like, almost emperor-like person, the Kiers, right? And the Egans or whatever, that you don't really know what the balance is. And there's just weird shit going on in the show. You'll watch the show and think, I think I got some ideas forming. And then you'll see a fucking goat human.
No, goat room.
Like a goat room where humans are dressed as goats. And you're just like,
I don't know anything.
Yeah, you're like, what?
What? And then your brain starts spiraling out of control too. One of the big things this season was Helena, right?
Yes.
Was playing as
Should
Helly.
we throw a spoiler tag? I don't know
Definitely
if you're about
spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely
Spoiler
spoilers.
alert.
Helena has taken over, has been pushed through as Helly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was obvious.
I did too. But I mean,
I like everyone's like, "Oh, what a reveal!" I was like, from the get go. I know they didn't say it, but I'm like, "That's not Helly." They haven't had any romantic connection, and like she was clearly watching like every step to study it, and so I didn't think of that as some crazy reveal. But I loved how Irving got to it. And it did, again, it wasn't those entire season where he's playing around with it. It was one fucking episode where he called that bitch out.
Yeah.
And he got her out.
yeah, and he fucking solved it. And like the previous episode beforehand too. You have the whole show. Well, first season they kind of touched on a little bit, but reintegration. And the main character's always like, no, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he finally gets presented with a real life, like, these are the stakes. Do you want to do it? And he says yes, and he does it. They could have stretched that out so long. They could have done, but no. I was like that one. I was like,
you
oh,
need to do this. Yes, okay, let's do it. And then they did it.
yeah.
And now in the end of this episode, because this was like a weird flashback. I don't know what it was. This episode was kind of weird, but also cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I lean more towards it was cool, but I've heard a lot of people saying that they didn't really like it. But it's
Continue.
I thought it was kind of artistically creative, this episode. But regardless, the now he's got his memory, because the whole idea of severance, right, is they're severed from work and home life. And so he got reintegrated in the middle of this, at the end of this episode. So now he's full power Adam Scott. And,
Exactly. Ben Wyatt.
So we'll
Even
see.
his final
Ben
form.
Wyatt.
Yeah.
And so he's in his final form, exactly. And
But
so now it's like all bets are off now.
And it's going to be
the whole
so...
show's going to spiral out of control quickly. Because now he has a full knowledge of everything.
Yeah. Well, and I really like how they, like, especially in the last scene of episode 3, how they kind of film how they filmed the merging of the memories. I hope they keep doing cool shit like that. Like I could see the potential for them to keep kind of like being weird.
Well, I don't understand. One of my gripes, I said, oh, all of them make intelligent choices. One of the dumbest things I thought was, wouldn't the first thing when they did the overtime or whatever it was, wouldn't the first thing be to see if you know any of your coworkers? Like you have a distrust for Lumen.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the whole point. You're going through all this effort. You're risking everything. You go and do this overtime thing. And his reaction to seeing his boss at his home life was like, oh, why is she here? That's weird.
Well,
And it was like,
I took
you
it
should
as-
be figuring out if you know any of these motherfuckers. And you should be like, he talking to his sister. Okay, I'm partnered up with this chubby guy, this other guy from Transformers, this redhead, and me. Like, that's who, and then Coppola or whatever. He should have laid out all of that. But at the very end, he's like, oh, yeah, why is my boss here? And it was like, what the fuck did you think? Like, what are we talking about? That's the evil corp. You don't think they're monitoring all parts of your life? Like, what the... You live in work housing. She's your fucking neighbor. Where's the... I don't know. The whole thing was so weird to me. I was like, you should be... They all did nothing with their hour and a half or whatever it was time. I mean, one guy just tried to find his love interest. And I was like, oh, bro, you just drove and got depressed. The other guy like saw his family. Okay, that's fine. Or no, he
Helly.
didn't even get to. Yeah, and
Ellie sabotaged the.
Helly fucked up that. Yeah, she had to do that whole thing. But
I took it as
Mark and Irving didn't do shit.
But I took Mark. What happened there is he was thrust into that situation and he didn't know. He had to pretend to play it cool because otherwise, I mean, he ends up giving himself away anyways.
The whole point is, hey, you need to start a shitstorm because it ain't cool. That was the whole point. They are fucking being tortured and shit in there. He needed to blow the fucking lid off and make everyone aware. And then they come back from season 2, like after all that, and it's like
They were wasting their time.
They were.
Yeah, you're right. They're literally being tortured.
Yeah.
And he's in there trying to play it cool for what? He especially Mark. There's like 30 people in that house.
Well, because he didn't want Miss Cabell to know that they were doing it.
He went and found his sister. He should have immediately spilled the beans. Should have been one of the first
He didn't know
things
that
he
was
mentioned.
his sister though.
He found out like in 5 seconds. He's like, "Is that
And
our
then they
baby?"
kept getting interrupted.
Oh, it's our sister. He still had like another hour with her, and then she's like, "Well, let's go finish this book reading for my husband." Shut the fuck up. Get your ass in here. We're figuring this out.
I know he
right
just
now.
agrees to that. That part I was like, no, just say no.
Yeah,
we have to
we're
talk.
doing this now. What the fuck? I just broke out of where I'm being tortured. That to me was silly. I was like screaming at my TV at 3 a.m. No, God, no. But then again, I thought too they could have clipped it at any time, but at the very end, and then they try to make a thing of this, and I hope they don't. But it was like she's alive, and they're all trying to say it was the baby, and it's like shut the fuck up.
Well,
he's holding a photo of his
Yeah,
wife.
they already resolved that
I know.
with the whole. He tries to ask who's alive, and then the doctor lady's like, Gemma's alive, and he's like, do it, reintegrate me. So I think that's dead.
No, I know. What I'm saying is it didn't even need to be even this.
Yeah.
Because he's holding a photo of his wife. They thought they were talking about the baby.
Because the
he's
baby was
alive.
missing.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay. They didn't waste too much time on it, so thank God. But I'm just like, okay. Create value for me.
That's even how he watches TV.
Yeah.
Is this
doesn't
adding
like when the
value?
pacing-
Adding value in my life.
That's why pacing is so important to him. It has to be building. It has to
Constantly.
questions have to be answered.
But I'm enjoying the show, man. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good watch. It's a great brain teaser. I have absolutely no idea what the fuck is going on. Do you have any answer for the goat thing? I'm trying not to read too much fan fiction shit. People are like writing books about the symbolism and stuff,
Theorizing and
and I'm trying not to dive into that. I mean, it's kind of bonkers. But Christopher
So-
Walken's in this too. It's
Yeah.
weird. Produced by Ben Stiller, directed by Ben Stiller.
Some episodes.
Most of the episodes.
Yeah.
So it's
Um,
enjoyable.
The goats, I don't know, but I will tell you this specifically: the creators, Ben Stiller, and there's the main creator. Unfortunately I don't know his name.
Not Ben Stiller.
Not Ben Stiller, have said it's not clones. Like, and they
Like the goat represents a person.
well, they're saying that it's not, the big reveal isn't going to be that the Lumen is cloning people.
I never really understood that.
Me neither.
Like I know people are just. I think people are just they're confused and like they're cloning people.
They're clones.
Clones.
To me, it's much more. There's so much symbolism around like labyrinths and mazes. Like everything is drawn in like maze and.
Well, what's your best theory? What do you think right now?
I think so. My best theory is I think they're trying to reanimate one of the Egans or a Kerr. What's his name? Kier. Or something like that. And basically, what the stuff that they're doing is effectively trying to reprogram memories.
Yeah.
And like building a brain to maybe reanimate someone that thinks like that or something like that. Take all these stories and stuff and build it into something that manifests itself as Kier. That's my thought. But one of the more cool ideas that I think I have is I think there's a time element with this, and I have no idea how this would actually play out. But it makes no sense to me that like people straight up have normal smartphones.
Yeah.
But then all the technology and equipment they use in the simulation
It's like a
or whatever
CRT TV.
is straight from like 1970. Not even like 90s, like 70s. And it makes no sense whatsoever. And I think there's like a time element with this because even in the goat room, they're almost like barbaric,
Yeah.
right? It's like very different dynamic. And in the symbolism through the art painting and stuff is very barbaric too. And the first thing that turned me on to this was the dynamic of Mark and his team. Mark's almost just like the narrator character, so let's just take him out of that. But you have like Irving, who's almost like a Renaissance man in the way he speaks, and the way he feels for things and talks about things, and he's very valued and he's interesting in that way. And then you've got this other chubby guy,
Dylan.
mouth breather. Yeah, Dylan, mouth breather type guy, who basically is everything he says is like a live tweet from something like so Gen Z, and it's a very stark difference between the two. And so I don't know.
In people from different times.
Yeah,
to all
I don't-
be in one area.
I don't know. Like they're all simulating them in this, and they're from different eras, which doesn't make any sense because when they come to the outside. But I think the outside is just as much of a simulation and fabrication as reality on the inside, because all the stuff they go to, all the cafes that they go to are
Owned.
all references to the Lumen Corporation. Like their favorite cafe, Pips, is one of the Egans, Pip Egan or whatever. And so it's like, what the fuck is going on? So I don't know. I'm confused.
My theory is very close to yours, your first part. So I think that they're trying to figure out how to bring people back from the dead and restore their memories. And I think that's exactly what's going on with Gemma and why Mark is important to Cold Harbor, because they think that he interacting will somehow restore her memories. So that's my theory. I don't think it's going to be clones, but I think they are trying to bring people back from the dead. But there is a whole bunch of weird stuff that goes on that it's like, the fuck? Like in the last episode on the lake, right? Or in the Frozen, so the internet's been talking about this. Yeah, so there's the pointing people. The CRT
They're
TV
twins.
wasn't there.
What do you mean?
So when they show Mark on the cliff, there's and then they go to the TV. That TV was not there
Right.
until it needed to be there.
Mhm.
And I was like,
Well, wasn't
like they have a little guy run it out. Oh, fuck.
Wasn't that basically what
So like a lot of people think that part is
Well,
a
they ran
floor.
like a program.
They think that's a floor in the Severance. That's in the basement of Lumen.
Well, because they did kind of say that they ran like this is one of the programs.
Well, they say, turn off the Glasgow block, and people are caught up on that when when Helena turns back in Heli, because they're saying, why did it need to be a block if it was overtime? Overtime, you just if they were truly outside, why would they need to block the Severance signal?
Well, and then add to the fact that I feel like the real world is so weird.
People,
It's so weird. They're so fucking weird. But like that first conversation that happens on episode 1 when he's like, why didn't they say they said the Great War for World War I? And he was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it wasn't World War I at the time because World War II hadn't happened.
Yeah.
There's no context for that. It's called the Great War. And everyone's like, oh, you're right. And then they kind of like move on.
people think they're the goats.
Like, the whole thing's like an analogy for like they're sheep people.
No, like the goats are being
Literally
turned
the
into people.
goats.
The goats are being turned into people, and so that's
And
why
that's
all
why
of
they're
them
all
are so
dumb.
stupid. I mean,
That's
Would you-
not the worst thought.
Would you be upset at that reveal if that's what it was? You'd be like,
No,
"Oh."
because the real world is so fucking tacky.
did you and like the whole door place? When Dylan goes to they show Dylan trying to find another job.
Oh yeah, Door Incorporated, and the boss is identical to him.
Yeah, and they're like they love doors,
And then he
he's like-
hated Severance, and I was like, wait, what?
He's
the
like,
fuck
"What's
is
your favorite type of door?" And he's like,
pocket
yeah." And
pocket door, like literally doors. And no, you're right. Like the real world is fucking silly. And maybe it is the goats. That's an interesting
But-
thought. But then even at like Helena's big reveal, nobody seemingly really knew who she was. They just kind of smiled at her and walked away. And then that receptionist lady plays the freaky. Her smile is so freaky to me.
it's good.
It's so good. And
Does the pained smile?
dude, yes. And that whole thing around, it just didn't feel genuine. And her dad coming into the bathroom and stuff like that, and it was just so weird. I don't know.
You need to
man.
watch it, Kyle.
Maybe eventually, but not anytime soon.
I wish you would have been on my ass to watch it when season 2 finished, so then I could
Oh.
catch up.
Well, now
Then
you're
I could have been up till 8 a.m.
now you suffer with me as we wait
We had
for the
these
next
episodic
episodes.
releases. That was the 5th one,
Fourth,
the 4th one. So there's 5 more.
Yeah.
because there's 9.
But then I also going back to that weird. The world's just weird. Part of me thinks that though that's just like that's their version of comedy for the show. Too, which I mean, it might add into the theory, but I also just
Like,
to
they're
me
it's funny for just being funny.
they make it weird because they're making fun of people like these people, like the whole dinner party. Where Kyle, it's second or first episode. They go to a dinner party, and the whole theme of it is a dinner party without food. So that way
I
they
think
can
you said that last.
they can
yeah.
truly connect with each other and conversation.
So it's just a party.
Food just gets in the way.
Yeah, and it's like, and
Maybe they're from the future, so far in the future that
maybe they're
they're-
aliens.
aliens.
that's why they have no concept of. They're just like dumb because
Kyle.
they've de-evolved. Because
Maybe.
yeah, I don't know.
Keanu Reeves voices a character.
That's so random.
The building.
What
When they go to the redesigned break room, and they play that video talking about the macro data MDR.
The season 2 like episode 1 video where they were like Lumen listened.
Yeah, that's Keanu. Keanu plays the building.
Oh wow, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah.
Legend.
Legend.
I'll have to. I mean, every time you talk about it, it definitely is enticing for sure.
I think you'd like it.
I'm not really like playing anything right now. I mean, not playing. I'm not watching anything right now because I'm like, I just got hooked onto Kingdom Come 2 and like, like there's other things I'm more excited about in this moment, but I will watch it eventually.
Anything else about Severance? My recommendation, if you have Apple TV, go watch it, and then watch Ted Lasso too. since you have Apple TV, might as well. Tell us about Kingdom Come.
Oh, well, not much.
I heard there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, there was in the
And-
first one though too, but that's just that kind of game. So if you're not into story-driven games, then it's probably not going to be your cup of tea. But so far, I'll say that I'm having a really good time. You could tell from the first game, which I actually really love the first game, but it was janky for sure. This time around, like it's polished, it's clean. Like they
So-
had spent some real money on it.
Quick question before you dive too deep in. Do you think, is it necessary to play the first game to go into the second game?
No, not
Okay.
necessary. So what you could do is actually Warhorse Studios uploaded a video. It's like 10 minutes long, and it's Kingdom Come 1 story recap.
Oh, okay.
You could watch that
Smart.
and be totally fine and equipped to go in the second one. And then also it does a lot of, through story, it does a lot of like hand holding in the beginning, so you really know what happened
Okay.
before then. Like you literally be like talking with your partner or whatever, like, remember when we got into that thing, blah blah blah, and then they start talking about it in dialogue, and like so they really don't they really assume that the audience probably hasn't played the first one.
Okay.
And so they fill the gaps for you, at least in the first couple hours of gameplay.
Okay.
And then after that, yeah, they throw you right into it. Because at the end of the first game, the whole story reason, the whole thing is like you go from a peasant to like a squire to like a knight, and then you become like a personal bodyguard for like the Lord of Rattay. It's like a really esteemed position. And that's kind of the whole game, is you doing all of that. And there's also this revenge element of like, the bad guy killed your parents and stole your sword. Your dad was a blacksmith and it was the last sword he ever built or whatever. So you want to get it back, that kind of thing, which you never do in the first game. The game just ends on like a cliffhanger. And so the second game is still kind of about that. But the way that they because at the end of the first game, you're like, you've leveled up, you got all the good gear, you're a knight, you're great. And the way they like humble you back down to the beginning again is you're in a new land because you're like a courier to deliver a message. And then you get like you're ransacked, your whole like team gets killed or whatever. And they steal all your equipment, and then nobody knows who you are because you're not from those lands. And so you're basically just like a nobody again. And so you're like,
That makes
shit,
sense.
I'm back in the shit again. But gameplay is really good. It's difficult in the sense, it's not difficult in like the From Software sense. It's difficult in like its approach to like its realism. It's almost like a medieval sim. Everything is like a struggle. Like it's not as bad as the first game. The first game, there's like side quests in the first game where you learn to read. Like you can't even read. You have to do like
Wow.
side quests to like
Jesus.
where first you look at a book, it's all jumbled, and you got to like study,
mini game.
and like there's like mini games to slowly learn how to read. So like in the first game, you can't even read signs, you can't read books, you can't read anything, and like so, it's not that bad because they assume you already have gone through all that, but it's still in that world, and they, it's an RPG, but that's what makes it difficult in that sense. But the story right now is really good. It's entertaining. I really don't have any knocks against it. I'll see how I feel after I've beaten it. I haven't gotten too far, but so far I've
How
been
many
having a
hours
lot
do you
of
think
fun.
you have in it?
Well, I replayed the end of Kingdom Come 1, and I just in this last week I put in quite a few hours into that, and then I just started playing Kingdom Come 2 a couple days ago. I probably somewhere around like 10 hours or so so far, and all great.
Do you have an idea of like how long the whole campaign
They
is?
said it's longer than the first one, and the first one, the main campaign took me about 65 hours.
Whoa, it's a beefy game.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the game to somebody who might not know what Kingdom Come Deliverance 1
Sword and
is?
board.
Well, okay, so Sword and Board. So because a friend was asking me about the game, right? And the best way, I only know it through like what you told me about the first game and then what I've seen gameplay wise. And I was like, well, it's kind of, now this is where I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. I told him it's kind of like, I told him it's a very history accurate open world, like medieval sim, no fantasy at all.
Yeah.
I said, from what I've seen, the combat looks like For Honor a little bit mixed with Skyrim.
Yeah, it's definitely not as forgiving as Skyrim, like not even by a long shot. And it's not as free as Skyrim. Skyrim, you could swing madly, you know, like when you're in combat in this, especially if you're doing like longsword fighting,
You're fucking in it.
you literally like you have to control, like if you're playing on console, you control the sticks is how your sword is. So like if someone swings an attack, you have to swing your sword in the right
like For
direction.
Honor.
It's more like For Honor
Okay.
in that sense.
You gotta get the timing perfect.
You have to get the timing perfect. A lot of the way I play is like counterattack, block, counterattack. But like I would say most accurately, it's like a historical medieval sim RPG, but simulation in the sense that it's like realism first.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's no fantasy in it. It's based on actual events that happened in the medieval times where Sigismund took over against King Wenceslas, and like it takes place in like Prague-ish areas, Germany, you know, that kind of thing. But it's I would hesitate. I probably wouldn't link Skyrim to it in any way.
Okay.
Like it's very different from Skyrim.
Because I was hesitant to say that because I'm like, I know it's not that, but like, just I couldn't think of another game that was first-person sword fighting.
The closest you get to like semi-fantasy elements is like there's alchemy in the game, but it's like not magic. It's like there's like health potions and stuff, and you have to collect herbs, and you literally like there's directions. You literally like put in chamomile, and then you flip the thing one turn, and you got to stir, and then when the sand runs out, you throw in another ingredient, flip it again. You have to do all of it. Like it's not like you just put in the ingredients and brew. You actually have to brew it. Like it's a whole thing. You can't even save the game unless you brew. It's called the Save Your Schnapps. It's like an alcoholic beverage. You have to brew it, and then when you drink it, that saves the game for you. Otherwise, the only way to save is you have to go back to the bed you own
And
and sleep in it.
To the bed you own.
Yeah, you can't just sleep
at a
anywhere.
random bed.
It has to be a bed you own.
Because I saw that there's a lot of beds, and that doesn't even heal you, right?
It not if you're bleeding.
Yeah.
If you're just like hurt, like exhausted or bruised, sleeping will heal you. But if you're like bleeding, that won't do anything. Funny enough, I learned one time I was bleeding and I didn't realize it because I wasn't paying attention to the marker. And then I fast traveled. I was like, oh, I need to go to this town. And once you engage in the fast travel, you can't stop, and your character moves at a fast rate, but it's game time. So like I was bleeding out at like 50% health, and I fast traveled to another town. And as I'm going, I just see my health just, and it's like dead. You bled out, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, because I didn't heal myself before fast traveling. So really, my character just walked until he bled out and died.
Somewhere along the way of fast traveling, you died
Yeah.
mid-spawn.
But like, it's genuine. I mean, obviously the year's still young, so that's not much saying this, but it's like the best game of the year so far for me. I do think that it is game of the year, like at least debatable. I don't think
Potential?
it would win, but I do think it might get some acknowledgments because
Who makes it?
Warhorse Studios, to my knowledge, they've only ever done this and the first game. Like they were an indie studio the last time around, which would explain why the first one was kind of like, it became a meme for like kind of the bugs and jankiness of it. It wasn't like on Cyberpunk's level because it wasn't a AAA release. It was kind of like when you bought that game, you knew
Wasn't it
you would have to put
Kickstarter?
up with that
Yeah.
stuff. It was like a Kickstarter, the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Even when you look at it now, you're like, what year did this come out? But that's its whole shtick. It's
Yeah.
like, that's how the combat's not supposed to be this ultimate fluid, I'm a fucking god. It's
Yeah.
Like-
no, you're the combat.
I watched this like video on
You're
the
the
first game, where they were like, "You're not the Dragonborn. You're not like you're not Commander Shepard. You're not the hero." Like and they joked about it. In fact, one of the very first quests you have is when your village is getting burned down. The quest is called Run. You can't survive. Like in this game, if you go up and you find 3 bandits it's like real life where you're like, fuck,
Yeah.
yeah, I got to figure out a way
Yeah.
to split these people up. Otherwise, it's not going to work out well.
I can't
for me.
take on 3 grown men.
Yeah, like I'm not taking
in
on
armor.
3 grown men in armor.
Well, the first one sounds like it sets you up perfectly for the expectations when you don't even know how to read.
You don't even know how to read.
Like you got to learn how to read.
You have no combat skills, no nothing. Like literally, like the first time you pick up a bow, there's no like crosshairs or anything. First time you pick up a bow, your character can't even like hold it straight. And it's like it's almost useless. And the more you use it, your character becomes slowly better and better.
Proficient, yeah.
And then at the end, you can hold it for much longer without wearing down, and like that kind of thing.
So would you say, like, if I wanted to get into it, because I've been thinking about it, should I play the first one? I know you said story-wise it's not important, but like to fully appreciate it,
I think.
or is it worth it? I guess to play the first one.
I
'Cause
think
the
that
first
if
one's
you
like
played the
$7 right
second
now.
one first, and then went back and played the first one, you probably wouldn't enjoy it as much because the second one improves on everything
Uh-huh.
gameplay wise. It's just a better all around game gameplay wise. The first one, I would say it wouldn't hurt to play it because of the fact that it's a good story driven game. So I wouldn't really.
Okay.
I wouldn't shy you away from it, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, and I mean, right now I looked on Xbox, Kingdom Come Deliverance 1.
Oh, is it on Game Pass?
It used to be. I don't know if it still is, but on PlayStation, it's like $7 right now. The first game.
Oh shit.
So that's why I'm saying, should I? It sounds like I would have more appreciation for the second one if I played the first one.
You
because
probably would. I would expect if you're gonna play it, be patient with it. It's one of those games. It's a meme now where people are like, "Well, once you get to 10 or 15 hours, that's when it really gets good." Like it really is kind of like that. So it is one of those things that you have to like kind of force yourself to grind through until one day you'll be playing it and it just kind of clicks.
Just clicks. Okay.
And you're like, "Wow, this is actually like I'm feeling this. This is good."
So, funnily enough, the thing that is like kind of tilted me, besides you hyping it up, Kyle, that has tilted me to become more interested in it, is I heard there's a very in-depth blacksmithing system.
In the first game too. Yeah.
If
Like,
I don't,
literally,
if I
if you
don't
get-
love me some blacksmithing,
If you get
systems.
blood or like your
I'm all about systems.
your
tell
gear
me.
like dulls and stuff. So like in the
Oh,
first
shit.
game and in the second one, like you have to constantly be repairing your gear.
Oh,
You can
okay.
learn
That's
how
less
to. Well, it's not like constantly, but like it's realistic in the sense that your blade will dull over time, and so you have to
like, find a
go to
sharpening
like
stone?
a sharpening stone, and you got to like press one trigger to get the wheel spinning, and then you got to slide it back and forth with, like the touchpad and like grind it out, and that's how like it you have to do that. Like I would say like
Is
once a play session.
there's no upgrades, right? Like your sword is your sword.
There are still upgrades, so it's still an RPG in the sense that you will get better gear as you level up.
Okay, so you
And-
can
Well,
find
you
a stronger
can
sword or-
you can make swords.
Yeah,
right?
you can make swords.
Oh, okay. Now tell me about
um,
that. That's interesting.
I never really did that because that takes a lot of, if I remember right,
Like
I'm trying to remember
resources?
from the first game, like that, it was easier for me to just buy weapons and then just take care of the ones I bought. But yeah, it is an RPG still in the sense that like there's still level requirements for certain gear and stuff, and so you won't take what you have in the beginning all the way to the end. In fact, you wouldn't want to because you have like peasant shit in the beginning that like your first weapon that you like actually get in the game is like a wooden
Pocket knife?
club.
Oh shit.
It's like a looks
Branch.
like a I don't know, like a nightstick like that cops carry. That's what it looks like. And then you're like you carry that
Beating
with
to
you.
a man to death with that.
Yeah. And then like you slowly get more and more gear as makes sense because you're slowly becoming more and more
A knight.
A knight. Your station is slowly increasing, and so you get access to better things and stuff. But like in the second game, like I was like, man, I have no gear again. Like this sucks. I just happened to stumble upon this dude that had like really good gear. And so like
Did you spend hours fighting?
I
him?
lured him, like I couldn't beat him, and I was like, "Fuck, man!"
Kicked
So
him off a cliff.
what I ended up doing is I lured him in, and then like I lured him into this other guy that like looked like he was also kitted up, and I made them like I tricked them into fighting each other, and then when they were both like low in health, I was like, and killed them both.
Hell yeah.
And then I had all their gear and I sold it and I got like 1,000 groschen, which is like the coin or whatever.
Huh.
So like it is also very open ended on how you can approach things as well.
Is there factions in the game? Like, as you gain a claim, or is it all in the name of the king? Or like, can you create your own tribe when you hit a certain power level?
No, it's very based in like historical events. So like you wouldn't really be able to do anything that alters history.
I got it.
Like it's not
playing your role in
fiction.
the-
Yeah,
within
you're
the
not. It's
world.
not fiction at all. Like it is fiction, but it's a historical fiction in the
real.
sense that
It's
they.
brave.
Well, I do know,
Framework.
like, so as you said, you go from Squire up. And you've showed us videos of where eventually you get to a point where you're part of like army battles, or like maybe not
Yeah.
a huge army, but like
The first game couldn't really. I mean, the army battles. It couldn't really take you that. It
was like 20 versus 20.
Yeah, it was like 20 versus 20. They definitely made it feel like it was more epic than it really was. And the second game, apparently, I haven't got there yet. It's things like the game opens up with like you're defending this castle that's getting like sieged, and you're like knocking ladders off and shooting people with your crossbow, which is like new to this game and stuff. And that already felt like this more epic than like it ever really got in the first game.
okay.
So you could definitely tell the difference that they're like, okay, we have actual money now. Like we're gonna make a fucking
Didn't
good
they?
ass game.
Wasn't this the game that they showed the tech demo where they had like 2,000 soldiers on one screen?
I don't think this one.
No,
No.
it was a game similar to this.
Was that the
where-
one with the car,
No, I know which one you're
the
talking about.
time travel
that.
one or
Yeah.
whatever?
Just driving through and mowing over all.
Yeah.
As of right now, I mean, they don't need you need to hear it from me, but like if you just like are in tune with the community right now, it's being very well received.
Yeah.
The game.
I mean, I've been seeing, like, I'm still on TikTok and I see TikToks about it, and I saw the blacksmithing stuff and I was like, ooh. I was like, hold on.
Ooh.
Let
yes.
me hear a little bit more about this.
Can you skip the dialogue?
Yeah, you can skip the
oh
dialogue.
shit. Is everything adding
Am I
value?
in,
Tori-
boys? Am I in, boys, or am I out?
Tori
Are
hates
you
when she watches me play because I read the dialogue quicker than it's
fuck.
spoken.
Oh.
And so I'll read, skip, and she's like,
I do that too.
She's like, I didn't even read that yet, and I'm like,
The voice actors put in so much work.
but unless it's like an actual cutscene, I'll let the cutscene, I'll watch that for what it's worth,
Sure.
But like in-game dialogue, I'm usually pretty quick through it.
when they're just standing there. Yeah, Henry, you
Yeah.
need to go and find the.
Yeah.
You're like, yep.
I was
okay.
playing with my dog over on the hill over there. Oh, why would you be playing with your... I had a really great time with my dog.
The first game had one of the funniest. I would say the only one that beats it is probably Red Dead 2, but one of the funniest like drunken moments in gaming for me in the first
remember-
Kingdom Come game.
You showed us, or you.
Maybe
it's
I
with
showed
the
you. I don't know.
priest.
Yeah, you're like, there's this crazy priest. He's a priest and he doesn't even know why he's a priest. He's like, he shouldn't be one. He's like doesn't follow any of the doctrine or whatever. And you go on this like drunken escapade with him, and like you're phasing in and out of like consciousness, so you're blacking out and things are happening. And there's at one point you like wake up in a barn and he's like having sex, the priest, with like some random like maiden. It's just like you just hear like the clapping, and you look over and he's just like going, and then you black out again, and then like it ends and you and the priest are like in an open field in the morning, like naked, like you're wearing like underwear, and he's just like
What the fuck
yeah,
happened?
and the whole thing is you're trying to get this priest to like let you into some monastery or some shit, like, and that's the journey
Totally
you go on.
side tangent.
Yeah, it's so random, but yeah, everything in that game is a journey and a challenge. And the funniest thing is like your character doesn't even know how to read. In the beginning, there's a whole side quest on learning how to read that you don't have to do, by the way. That's optional.
Optional.
And then you rest of the game, you can't read.
Yeah, you could just not read.
I did them. Swing hammer harder.
Opens book. Ah, yes.
Ah, yes.
This is very good.
I understand my
first-
mission now.
The first time I played, I
Quest
literally
log update.
I picked up like a letter the first time I played, and like it was just gibberish, and I was like,
my graphics
I didn't
settings.
even,
Fuck.
I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, huh, that's kind of weird, whatever.
Some fantasy
And
language.
then on another, they were like another quest. They're like Sir Radzik, who's like your liege or whatever. He's like says something like, "Do you know how to read, boy?" And your character's like, "No, sir." And I'm like, "The fuck? I don't know how to read." I'm like, what the?
Where am I starting from? Preschool?
Like, you're literally starting as a blacksmith's son, who his whole life has been raised to just be a blacksmith, and so that's like the only skills he has. Other than that, he really doesn't have any skills.
Explains the in-depth blacksmithing system.
Well, there's 250,000 people playing this game this week, so at one concurrent
Damn.
time. So
Not bad for like what it is. I mean,
Totally.
And that's
for a
just
full
Steam.
$60 game, it's better than Veilguard.
I know if you look up like sales, there was some crazy sales stuff.
they did. The Warhorse Studios did say that they have already made a surplus on their budget it took to create the game.
It's 6 times more popular than Dragon Age Veilguard
Yes.
ever was.
Ever was right now.
Right now, it's immensely popular. Dragon Age Veilguard peaked at 80,000 players. We're at the death of AAA gaming, guys.
I don't know. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, what constitutes a AAA studio?
A
This
publisher.
This is their only. Well, their first game is the publisher. Is that what we would say?
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
The first game was published by Deep Silver and made by Warhorse Studios. So I guess it technically wasn't indie, but it was a Kickstarter game, and it was from a studio that really didn't like. I don't even know how they got Deep Silver to publish it. Not that Deep Silver is renowned for their games or anything. And the second one I think is also Deep Silver, but they're not really involved in anything.
I'm gonna see if it says on here.
What are you looking for?
It is Deep
Publisher
Silver.
Deep Silver.
Yeah.
CryEngine. So Crytek, like the
Same engine as
Crysis?
Crysis.
Yeah, Crisis, baby.
Oh, they do
Saints
the
Row,
Metro games.
Metro. Oh, okay. I love Metro. Metro's really good. Red
I play a
Faction.
lot of Red Faction Guerrilla.
Yeah.
I've never touched that game, but I've heard of it.
You use a hammer to bust down a bunch of buildings.
Exactly.
I play
You don't play-
Chorus.
Emergency 2013. Road 96.
Payday 3.
Dead
Boys in
Island
Blue.
Pay?
So Deep Silver has a wide
good.
range of games that
Yeah.
they.
But Saints Row, Payday, oh shit, they've got a pretty treasure trove.
Dead Island. And Red Faction.
Wow.
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 Who owns Deep?
I hate this
Silver.
keyboard so much. It's ash.
THQ Nordic.
Oh,
okay.
yes. Do you know them?
THQ.
THQ. What was THC?
THQ. The Embracer
Oops.
Group.
The Embracer. Who owns Embracer Group? What is
We're going all the way up.
What the fuck?
Lars
Lars
Wingfors.
Wingford? Look up his net worth.
Who owns Lars Wingford? Okay.
He's a
1.1 billion.
1.1 billion.
Look at this guy. Absolute Chad.
He looks like a Lars.
It does kind of look like a Lars.
Lars.
That's crazy to have companies that own companies that own companies.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
get how
that's
it works,
like-
bro.
That's a lot of like thinking about the trees on
As
this.
someone
family
who works at
tree.
a company that's its bread and butter over the last 5 years was acquisitions, I could tell you it's a fucking nightmare
Yeah.
because it's just a web. And like usually one of the first questions people ask, like, who employs you? And you're literally at the same company. You're having a meeting, and they're like, which team are you on?
You're like,
I
well.
don't know, man.
So I'm doing a little something crazy, guys. A little something wild.
No, what's that?
I did
Are
something
you about to tell people where they can find
No.
us? Is that what you're-
Acid.
acid. I purchased a game.
Oh god.
Wild.
Genshin Impact.
No, that's game's
That's-
free.
I was like, that's free to play.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? It might be the most expensive game I've ever played.
Yeah, with all the
You?
skins.
You played it?
He
Did
plays
you-
it every
Playing
night.
Zenless Zone Zero.
You have. I purchased a game solely
Based
on
on-
who the music composer was.
Damn, that's
Never
a
done
wild reason to buy a game, but go for it.
What's the name of the game?
It's called Ender Lilies. Some Knight's Remembrance
Weeb
or some
shit.
shit.
Oh, sorry.
It's a Metroidvania. I know there's a sequel out too, Ender's Magnolia. I got them both for a deal, and I guess I'm gonna play them now.
You haven't yet.
No, I just bought them last night.
Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights.
Yeah. It's
Well,
some
it's
weird
got
shit.
good reviews.
On PlayStation, mobile, what?
PlayStation.
Okay.
It's both games have really good
It's
reviews.
it's on all platforms though.
Yeah.
If you were interested in playing
Look
it tonight.
look on Steam database. Let's see the Ender
Ender
Lilies.
Quiet.
End my life. What was
Quietus of
Ender?
the Nights. The top Reddit post is, I don't think I find Ender Lilies
This one?
good.
Oh no.
it?
Yeah.
Quietus of the Nights.
Of the Nights.
I don't
Noise.
find it very good.
There's 300 people playing it right now.
Hey, you know what?
It peaked at 6,000.
3.7 years ago.
Wow.
What about the sequel? I'm interested. The sequel just came out. It's Ender Magnolia.
Bloom in the mist.
We upped it a little bit.
It grew.
Well, it grew
It grew.
18 days ago.
100 people.
Dang.
I
Big
wonder what.
time.
I feel like Kingdom Come 2 kind of blew up mainstream out of nowhere because the first game people did not talk about on that level.
Well, I
I
think
mean, it's no banana, but it's definitely.
What what bananas?
Don't you
doing
remember
so
we
good
looked
right
at
now?
this?
What is-
Yeah.
it's literally a game where you just click it.
I don't remember looking at this.
We like watched a video.
I know what it is. Yeah. It's,
No.
You just click the
But do
banana.
you remember
and
we
then
watched the
it's-
video?
It counts it. Yeah.
I,
And
know,
it
I'm
was
saying,
like-
I don't know. I don't remember looking at this.
It was like what happens when you reach 1,000 banana clicks or something like that.
The whole idea is there's like a nefarious microtransaction thing around there, like with NFTs and shit like that behind it. You know, like people
Huh.
trade banana skins. Like you get, I don't know, it's very strange.
Banana skins.
Damn, Path of Exile 2 is still pulling some actually really good numbers. 120,000 daily.
Yeah.
Where's interesting
Rivals.
all last year, what's it called? Baldur's Gate 3 was on this list.
Where's it at now?
It's fallen off, boy.
It'll bump back up once that new
It's a-
update comes up. I know it.
Single player
It's falling
game
up.
that
Oh,
has
dude.
no DLC. Like,
It's unbelievable the lasting power of Baldur's Gate.
yeah.
I bet
It's
you
right
still
there.
top 20 where
18.
Yeah, see there you go. Look at that. Still peaking in the 24 hours at 70K. I mean that is impressive as hell.
Right next to Stardew Valley.
Well, that's a great game. That's
Yeah.
a goat.
Red Dead 2's all-time peak was never more than 99,000
On Steam.
on Steam. That's so random because that game was so huge.
think
That's nuts.
what's
that
Grand Theft
that's on
Auto's?
here. Was there an update?
364,000 for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Why are people still playing? Like, that many people still playing though? That's
Playing
GTA
Red Dead?
Online.
yeah. No, Red Dead
Oh.
2.
Didn't online get shut down?
I don't even think they support the servers. Like, what is happening?
That's amazing, and it's like growing
Random
since
ass update?
2022.
I'm pretty
Like
sure
since
there's been no updates.
2020, it's just grown. That's pretty
All-time
amazing.
peak was 10 days ago. Did it just launch on Steam or something?
No,
No?
we have charts all the way back to 2020.
Why was the all-time peak on Steam 10 days ago?
There must have been a
What happened?
patch, or
I don't think so.
they added in new dialogue. Are you guys not in the Red Dead scene anymore?
So Red Dead, when it launched, it was console only. It didn't launch on PC for like 2 years for one. And then after that, it had its own launcher for a little bit. So like it makes sense that Steam, it didn't really ever peak. But
Why?
I don't even know what I'm asking.
This was due to sales.
Oh, okay. So they just discounted it heavily, and people played it.
interesting.
Look at that.
Interesting.
Sales work. But look, good games win. Bad games don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some games up there that I wouldn't consider.
No, but like Veilguard. What did we read how much Veilguard cost to make? How much did Dragon Age? I hate this keyboard.
It's right there.
$250 million. And there is 2,000 people playing that game right now. And this came out. It came out in November.
In November.
Yes, it did.
2 months after release here.
I was one of
A
those
quarter
people
of
that
a-
played it.
quarter of
played
a
it
billion
too, but
dollars.
I'd never beat it. I got
Finished
bored.
It was very mid. Very.
How
I
many
still
people
don't
are-
think it was horrible.
Every now
I
and then, our
played
tastes don't exactly
Yeah.
align. I never finished Final Fantasy 16 either.
16. I
I got bored.
think there's a lot worse games than it, but I do think it's like it's not
I think it's overly
BioWare.
hated.
Look at this. How old is this game? Hogwarts Legacy. There's still 10. There's 5 times the amount of people playing Hogwarts Legacy right now, which came out
They've
how
been-
long ago?
Have you seen though? They've been doing ads for Hogwarts Legacy.
I've seen, because I've heard rumors that there's going to be a 2 coming out.
Mewtwo.
You guys played this game?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about
You,
it.
I just didn't remember if both of you played it. This was fucking fun, man.
It
What
was.
that? That was weird. Was that,
Is
my
that your chair?
I don't know, maybe. It sounded like a woman screaming, didn't it?
That's so specific.
It kind of did.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like,
What?
whoop!
We're just in your podcast.
Opa!
and someone's out there like,
Our number one
murdered.
fan sitting at the other side of the door, chomping at the bit.
yeah, I'm sure.
We just open the window and it's
I
like
do-
fans. Like, yeah.
Oh my god.
We made it.
There's look at this. That's 10,000. So the 24-hour peak is 10x on Hogwarts Legacy. Is 10x what Veilguard is?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Is Veilguard a live service game in any way? Did they do like
No.
okay? So same identical kind of premise.
So, yes, but I would say with Veilguard, the unfortunate thing, and I mean this is an excuse for him, but it's part of the story. It's that it was going to be a live service. Like EA told them make it a live service, and then they told them no, never mind, don't. And so they had to scrap a game that was and like start from scratch and remake the game
I don't care.
over and over. I know. I'm not saying it's not an
I
excuse,
don't care
but I'm
as
just
a
saying
consumer.
that's part of what happened with it.
I don't care.
So I
You
don't know
either
if you
create value or Just kidding.
Make it not a waste of my time.
exactly.
Throne and Liberty, what could have been.
What could have been?
Lost Ark, what was. I wish I played games when this game came out.
Space
at the
War.
levels that I do now. I just didn't.
Limbus Company.
I missed out on this one, boys.
I
Missed out on this one.
you did.
Gary's mod. There's still.
When this came out, I watched it live. It was so exciting, but then Lost Ark, and then it fell off so hard. I remember watching. I was like, oh my god, there's like a new good MMO, and a lot of the top streamers were streaming it, and it was like dynamic and creative. And then economy resets. Then they took features out of the game, and it was like, whoa! And I didn't buy
All-time peak
it.
was like 1.3 million. On Steam.
Damn.
It was unbelievable how successful the launch was.
2.4 million for Black Myth Wukong.
I do believe that's
mid.
like top 3 all time. Second all time, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of
PUBG.
people in China. I mean, it's huge over there, so that would make sense.
Pal
Banana.
World somehow.
Banana's right below Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
40,000 off Elden Ring.
That is crazy.
It's crazy. Elden Ring did not eclipse Cyberpunk.
Like in terms of peak all time.
Yeah, I thought
There's more
would
power.
have got it.
Didn't
yeah.
even break 1,000,000.
I mean, Hogwarts Legacy hit Elden Ring, but this one had. Well, I guess when did this one come out? 2020. So maybe it's because it's newer.
Well, once you hit your peak, you never really go back.
Well,
to
I'm
it.
looking at like 24-hour, right? Like Elden
Oh,
Ring is
gotcha.
still more popular than Cyberpunk. Wonder if this includes people who are running modded versions. I don't think so because they launch it outside of Steam. Because like most people who are still playing this game are like running modded version, like no hit random playthrough.
Apex Legends.
Marvel Rivals up there.
Goose Goose Duck. I've never even heard of that. And it was pulling.
You've never
for a
heard of
while. No,
It's
it's not pulling right now, but it was pulling.
it's an amazing game.
It's like Duck Duck Goose, but crazier.
but yeah, there's tons of porn mods.
for Goose
Seriously?
Goose Duck,
I've never played that game. I don't
Oh.
know what it is.
I believed you. I was like, you're deep into that community, huh?
This game
Path of Exile 2.
It's on my list.
Of ones I will eventually play again. Oh, we're not talking about me?
This is such a good game. For early access release, I was so happy with what I got. For $30. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And they're going to come out. Probably the full game will release next year. But man, so much to love in that.
Postal.
World
Sons of
of
Forest.
Warships.
Starfield.
PUBG test server pulled almost 500,000.
There's Kingdom Come right at 49. Above Team Fortress 2.
You're also dealing with like 2 years ago or 10 years ago with Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
Well, they should be better.
It should be better.
Fall Guys.
All guys.
That was so much fun. What a great game. Only 800 people playing that now, though.
Damn.
On Steam. It's easily over 1,000
Oh.
if you consider.
For
So, I think I know what your
Tell me
guys'
what you know.
reaction to this is. Did you hear the stuff like about Battlefield, the next Battlefield?
Oh God, I need to know.
No.
I don't know anything about it. I
Is
just heard
there a
there's, like,
collapsible environment? Is that
there's-
going to be there?
there's some. They're starting to spread the rumor mill.
True destruction environment. Every fucking Battlefield.
No Battlefield has ever held my attention as well as Battlefield 3 did.
I'm so over shooters. It's not even funny.
No.
I couldn't even get into Marvel Rivals because I'm not into shooters anymore. I can't. The point and click is I'm just done.
Wasting my
my
energy.
It's just not fun. Like the finals. That's a fun game. I'll play 20 hours of that. You know, I think I probably have 20 hours of that. That's fun. Marvel Rivals. I'll play 20 hours of that. It's a fun little game. Jump into.
I could never play that much into a game that like don't like.
Well, I'm saying like the novelty of it being new and
okay.
stuff is enough to keep me for like 20 hours, right?
Yeah.
Helldivers 2 enough to keep me for 20 hours. That's fun, but it's just I'm not going to be able to dedicate to get competitive in those games or do any actually play try to play it regularly and stuff. I'm not going to be dumping 100+ hours into shooters, man.
A part of me is still chasing, how much fun we had playing Warfare.
I don't think we've played a game together like that.
I know.
Could have been Divinity Original Sin 2, the definitive edition.
Hey, guess what?
I always say it because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Guess what?
That's the title.
Baldur's Gate 3, the next update coming out this next month.
We can finally crossplay.
Yeah.
It's what they promised at launch.
Yeah.
But never delivered.
But
They
this-
actually never promised.
I was
Let me
like,
make
I
it
don't
clear.
think let's not start a beef.
They always said it was on their backlog or whatever.
And this
But
is it. We could start
Promised me.
a
it.
campaign together.
We didn't even finish our campaign, Dylan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I join mid-campaign
Yeah, you could.
as like a character you guys have already developed?
Well, as one of the
You'd have to be one of the origin
Like
characters.
Lae'zel. Yeah,
you'd
or
be
whatever.
like Lae'zel or whatever.
No, I'd want us to start fresh though. You got to be your wizard.
Are you gonna play in the Steam Deck?
Well, not now
That's
that
the only way I'll play.
Yeah, that's now no.
I'm so pissed that you don't use that fucking Steam Deck. That's unbelievable. I think that's one of the coolest things.
You
and you
dumbass.
don't even use it.
Fuck you.
I'll fucking buy it off of you, dude.
Right now, it
$50
just collects dust.
I'll fund
I
a.
look at it sometimes and I think to myself, "What a wonderful."
I was like, where is he going with this? All right, Dylan, where can people find us? Because I'm
They
going to buy
can
your
find
Steam
us.
Deck after this.
I almost forgot we were still streaming. We got a little casual there at the end.
A little bit.
That's why I wanted to cut it off because I started thinking of jokes and I'm like, let's slow it down.
Does not get canceled here.
Let's get
They
canceled.
can find us right here on YouTube every Tuesday,
Just
7
another
p.m.
view or
Pacific
something.
time, where we stream talking about silly stuff. We're also going
And
to
the titles of these streams are getting better
and better
by
and better.
the week.
Yeah. You can also find us
They
streaming.
make a lot of sense.
This one was intriguing. Did you read this one?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a good one.
You can also find us
had
streaming
nothing.
Baldur's Gate 3 crossplay when it comes out.
You'll find that we are going to just lay it out on the line, so we have no choice but to adhere to your
To hear my voice,
shenanigans.
what I chose. But yeah, come join us. Come check us out. Hang out. Get in the text
Get
chat.
silly.
I think I think we should do another debate soon too. This time,
Spicy.
not me and Kyle again.
Old
I was
Spice.
thinking Billy and Kyle.
Why? We need a follow up to your matchup.
Yeah, aren't you supposed to defend your title now?
I
Now
guess,
it's you
but then
versus
when am
Billy.
I ever going to get to see you two versus each other?
Eventually,
Never.
it'll happen, right? That's
I'm
cycle.
the producer. I'm the magic behind the scenes. You guys
Yeah.
are the talent.
So I need to put you out.
As if you don't talk like
The most.
I never talk. Okay.
I am.
I am
The
the
money.
silent partner here.
I
Okay?
am the money.
I create the value here. All right.
That's right. If you're not creating value, what's the point?
That's right.
What's the point?
As we learned. But yeah,
Better than this.
remember, with a good KD,
You get the dub. That's a W.
Sure, that's
yeah,
The W.
This is we're not representing gangs.
You ever seen Jameis Winston for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? This guy is one of the greatest human beings ever to live. And in football, this is like
This
is
damn.
getting
quite the title.
what,
The greatest.
dude? He is
Human
a
being.
He is a one of one kind of talent.
Okay.
All right, not on the football field, but just vocally. And he's like
He's shit on
he-
the football field.
he's like one of those. He would be perfect as one of those mega church pastors, where he's on stage just hyping people up. He gave this speech, and I'll show you the video after this, to his football compadres. Where he's like, "You see this? See this right here? That's a dub. Let's go eat a dub." And he eats his fingers. He eats his fingers to like hype up his football team.
Such a random
It's
hesitation.
so good. It's so good. All right,
Damn.
with a good KD, get the dub. Bye.
Bye.